He doesn't have anything on him, right?
No,
Jewelry.
A woman who accused the mixed martial arts fighter Conor McGregor of raping her in a hotel in Dublin 6 years ago has won a civil case against him. The jury has found McGregor liable and ordered him to pay Nikita Hand €250,000 in damages.
Phone down the ground, stomped it in Miami.
Conor McGregor allegedly broke a phone that belonged to a man who wanted to take a picture with him.
Conor McGregor, he's just losing it right now. It feels like he's lost it.
You're in a pub and you're offering a f***ing shot to an old guy and he probably tells you your whiskey's shit. You don't punch him in the face.
He's got like $100 million in the bank. He still wants to fight people, still smacking people at bars.
That's not the Conor we knew. It hurts.
From rags to riches, from the streets of Dublin to becoming the face of the UFC, Conor McGregor lived a story that seemed straight out of a movie. The world called him the Notorious, a loudmouth trash talker who backed it up with knockouts, charisma, and swagger no fighter had ever seen before. But behind the fame, money, and spotlight, McGregor's empire was built on arrogance, chaos, and controversy. And today, the very energy he thrived on has come full circle. This is the story of how Conor McGregor's karma has finally arrived. Back in 2013, Conor wasn't just another UFC fighter, he was a storm. A two-division Cage Warriors champion with wild confidence and a left hand that could shut anyone's lights out. When he entered the UFC, he called his shot, promising he would take over the game. And he delivered. One by one, he demolished opponents. His biggest breakthrough? December 2015, when he needed only 13 seconds to flatten Jose Aldo, the undefeated king who hadn't lost in 10 years. That knockout turned him into a global superstar overnight. Then came history. In 2016, McGregor became the first UFC fighter to hold two belts at the same time. He wasn't just a fighter anymore. He was a phenomenon. Everyone wanted to be like Conor. The suits, the watches, the walk. He was bigger than the sport itself. But while he was conquering inside the cage, outside of it, the seeds of his downfall were already being planted. Conor's trash talk was legendary. He didn't just beat opponents, he humiliated them with words before throwing a single punch. Fans loved it. The UFC loved it even more because McGregor sold fights like nobody else. Then came 2017, the Floyd Mayweather boxing match, the biggest crossover fight in combat sports history. McGregor didn't win in the ring, but financially, he hit the jackpot, over $100 million in one night. Suddenly, Conor McGregor wasn't just a fighter, he was an empire. But with more money came more problems. The hunger that fueled him started slipping away. Instead of being focused on training camps, McGregor was on yachts, in nightclubs, and flashing stacks of cash on Instagram. The fighter who once dreamed of feeding his family was now chasing excess and ego. With hundreds of millions in the bank, McGregor built a life most people could only dream of. Mansions in Dublin and Las Vegas, supercars lined up in garages, million-dollar watches, and private jets on standby. Conor turned his life into a constant highlight reel. On social media, he flaunted tailored suits, luxury yachts, and vacations that looked straight out of a billionaire's playbook. To many fans, it was inspiring. A poor kid from Crumlin who beat the system and became larger than life. But to others, it became a symbol of arrogance. The hunger that once pushed him to fight for survival was replaced with a hunger for luxury. The more he showed off, the less relatable he became. And then came the scandals in his personal life. McGregor had long been in a relationship with Dee Devlin, the woman who supported him before the fame, driving him to training and helping him through the hardest years of his career. She was seen as his rock, the loyal partner who stood by him when he had nothing. But as the money and fame poured in, rumors of infidelity began surfacing. Over the years, multiple women came forward claiming McGregor had cheated, with stories of late-night encounters and secret hookups. Paparazzi photos and tabloid headlines painted the picture of a superstar living recklessly, with little regard for the family he had at home. Even worse, some of these scandals coincided with the birth of his children, sparking outrage from fans who once saw him as a family man. Instead of admiration, the narrative shifted. People began calling him unfaithful, selfish, and out of control. And that's when the scandals began piling up. 2018 was the year McGregor's image cracked wide open. After a heated rivalry with Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor flew to Brooklyn and infamously threw a dolly through a bus window full of fighters. Glass shattered, people got injured, and McGregor was arrested.
What the fuck, you fucking pussies?
The UFC turned it into promotion, but fans saw something different. McGregor wasn't just notorious, he was reckless. That same year, Khabib humbled him inside the octagon, dominating and making him tap. It was the biggest fight in UFC history, and McGregor was on the losing end. But what made it worse was what happened after. Khabib jumped the cage, McGregor's team got into brawls. It was pure chaos. Then came allegations outside the cage. Bar fights, lawsuits, multiple assault charges, and accusations that tarnished his reputation. In 2019, video surfaced of McGregor punching an elderly man in a Dublin pub simply because the man refused his whiskey brand. That moment went viral, and fans who once cheered his every move began turning on him. The man who once represented ambition and confidence now looked like a bully drunk on power. Inside the cage, karma started to catch up too. His fights became less about dominance and more about survival. In 2020, he made a strong return, defeating Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in just 40 seconds. For a brief moment, it looked like the old Conor was back, but the glory didn't last. In back-to-back fights against Dustin Poirier in 2021, McGregor was brutally exposed. First, he was knocked out cold, something fans thought they'd never see. Then, in the rematch, he snapped his leg in one of the most gruesome injuries in UFC history. On the floor, screaming in agony, McGregor shouted insults at Poirier's family while medics carried him out. It was a chilling image, the once untouchable king, broken and desperate. That moment symbolized more than just a physical break. It was the beginning of the end. McGregor always called himself a businessman, and for a while, it looked like he was. His whiskey brand, Proper Number 12, became a massive success. He sold a majority stake for over $600 million. But with time, cracks appeared. Sales declined, critics mocked its quality, and the hype faded. Meanwhile, his other ventures, gyms, clothing, endorsements, failed to reach the same level of success. Even in business, Conor's empire wasn't untouchable. Just like in fighting, his flash and bravado couldn't cover up the instability underneath. Karma didn't just come in the form of losses, it came in the form of public perception. Fans who once worshipped him now criticize his every move. On social media, people call him washed, a fraud, a shadow of his former self. The young, hungry fighter who inspired millions has been replaced by a man desperate to stay relevant. Instead of headlines about victories, it's been headlines about lawsuits, arrests, and controversies. McGregor once said, "We're not here to take part, we're here to take over." But today, it feels like he's just fighting to stay in the conversation. So what is Conor McGregor's karma? It's simple. The very traits that made him a superstar, ego, arrogance, chaos, are the same ones that destroyed him. Karma doesn't always mean losing everything. It means facing the consequences of your own actions. And for Conor McGregor, karma has finally arrived.